A warm welcome everyone, my name is Nick and this is the 2-week roundup on the channel. Now some people watch this video and some people don't, but it's a nice way of rounding up what's been going on over the last 2 weeks. The format of it might change at some point, but for the time being we'll leave it as it is. So, what pinball tables have we looked at before we come to the top 6? Well, we looked at one of the pinball arcades and one of the Zen Pinball 2 because we're waiting still for the last 3 tables of season 6 of Pinball Arcade to actually be released. I don't know why there's a delay, there just is. But the first one was Pinball Arcade Gladiators in 2017 by Farsight Studios and based on the real life table by Gottlieb from 1993. The lighting of this table, it's a bit dark, but a lot of the PlayStation 4 ones are. The table's okay, it's a sword and sorcery theme. As I scratch my eye for some reason, maybe I've got fleas. But it's not the best of the season. The highlight for me is the Doctor Who tables. One is a recreation of a real life table, the other one is a bit of a fantasy table, which is a new step for Farsight Studios, but it's an okay table. Gladiators. Some people said, well, one person said the lighting killed it, took out the exuberance of the table. I'm paraphrasing here or changing their words completely, but Gladiators. And the other table we looked at was one of the early tables on Zen Pinball 2, originally came out on the PlayStation 3. I've released it on the PlayStation 4, which came out in 2014. It's a Shaymin. A quite fun and colourful table this, lots of tribesmen about the place. It's quite easy to get into, but essentially you have to try and keep 3 discs spinning, and then you can get certain bonus points. There's a guy with a drum as well. Again, it's a fun table. It's not one of my go-to tables, but if you bought this you also got Tesla, Eldorado and V12, which we'll come to next week. Then we'll probably be on the Zen Pinball 2 tables for a little while we wait for those last 3 tables to come out on the PlayStation 4 Pinball Arcade. In 7th place, but I don't really give it a number, but it is 7, not really making the top 6 this week, was a game on the ZX Spectrum 128K. It was LED Storm by Go in 1988. Didn't like this game on the Commodore Amiga, and I don't like it on the ZX Spectrum either. It's very monochrome on the ZX Spectrum, but the gameplay isn't fun. It's a top-down racing game. It moves a bit too quick in my opinion, not too much colour there. I prefer the much slower moving Spy Hunter if you was to choose between the two, so that didn't quite make it. That one's by Go, as I say, in 1988, 128k. Music by Tim Folan is absolutely fantastic, but once again his cool music has landed on a bit of a duff game. Some people quite like it, I'm not a big fan. We're continuing our run through the Sega Mega Drive Ultimate Collection on the PlayStation 3. This time round we looked at Streets of Rage 2. This disc came out on 2009, the PlayStation 3 version. It's an enhancement over the first game, although a lot of the gameplay is the same. A lot easier in multiplayer, but I was the only player there, and a lot of these games on the Sega Mega Drive conversions I'm going to have difficulty with just being one player, but I'll try my best, god damn it, until someone clever or good at the game shows up. Streets of Rage 2 over a number of levels, beat up everyone, complete the stage, and there's not too much else to it. The other game, it's not an immediately available game on the Ultimate Collection, you have to unlock it, but it was Space Harrier, which I've also reviewed on Game Boy Advance, the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore Amiga already. This one's a bit closer to the arcades. Basically you control this flying character. I'm sure you've heard of Space Harrier already. You're flying through the fantasy zone, through different worlds, and you must destroy everything you see. Don't bash into things, don't get shot, and destroy end of level bosses. Quite a classic game this one. You have to remember to blink a bit or your eyes will fall out, but very, very good. Right, now, the top 6, we finally got there. You might disagree with this order. If you do, always encourage you to put your order below. In 6th place on the ZX Spectrum is Roadblasters by US Gold in 1988. US Gold quite often do bad conversions. This game isn't too bad. I've also played it on the Commodore Amiga, which I thought the stage was a bit too short. This one, again, you're hit by monochrome. It doesn't move that fast, but it's okay. It's not a disaster of a game, it's just that there's better examples out there. You control a car going through various stages. There are 50 of them, and my complaint is the stages all look very, very similar. You must collect fuel and get to the end without getting shot or blown up before the end of the stage. Yeah, it doesn't sound very exciting, but check out the review, US Gold in 1988. And in 5th place, maybe I was a little bit cruel on this one, is I put Micro Machines on the Commodore Amiga, published by Codemasters in 1993. In my opinion, this game is much better on other systems, i.e. the PlayStation. People have said they prefer it on the Mega Drive as well. I can quite see that. Unfortunately, that game isn't on the Sega Mega Drive collection. It's a top-down racing game based on the toys by Micro Machines. I don't know who it's by actually, I'm sure they're called Micro Machines. You just race across breakfast tables, play areas and so forth, different modes, challenge and a tournament mode. My one complaint of the Amiga one is the controls are a little bit slippery unless you're going around really poodling slow, and if you go around poodling slow you're never going to win. Much more fun in multiplayer, but against computers the fun a little bit zapped out of it because the difficulty is so high. And in 4th place, I didn't know where to put this game. It was a lot higher originally, but due to comments, which quite often influences me, I'd sort of like change my mind and get a new view about certain games. But I put Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest on the Game Boy Advance, published by Buena Vista Games in 2006. A few weeks back I reviewed Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, almost forgot there. And the game, although it borrowed the Pirates of the Caribbean license, it didn't follow the film at all really. This game addresses that. It does follow it a bit more closely with like intercut film scenes. Not moving scenes, they're just straight photographs from it, but the character you control does look like Captain Jack, so I'll give it for that. I quite like this game. It's 2D rather than the 3D that it has. The previous game had. It's nice and colourful, it's easy to control. The fighting is a bit predictable because it's just one button mashing rather than any skill there, but a lot of the Game Boy Advance games are a bit like that, the exception being Bruce Lee. If you want to check out my review of that, we've done quite a few months ago now, so I had that in 4th place, Pirates of the Caribbean. So a summary then, in 6th place was Roadblasters by US Gold in 1988 on the ZX Spectrum. In 5th place, Micro Machines on the Commodore Amiga by Codemasters in 1993. And in 4th place, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest by Buena Vista Games in 2006. Now, before we come to the top 3, I did review a PlayStation 4 game again. We've been reviewing a few of those for a little while now. This is an absolute beauty of a game. Needs a lot of practice to be good at it, but it is Driveclub, published by Sony in 2014. Doesn't time move fast? Also come with a DLC, this version. It's the Cycles, which I haven't reviewed yet, but we might do some time to come if I get some spare time. But the graphics on this are absolutely gorgeous. It's probably better controlling this with a steering wheel than a controller like I was doing, and maybe a racing seat and proper gears. But it is doable on the controller. You have to muck about with what view you like the best, various weather conditions, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Need I say it, it's maybe even better than Need for Speed Rivals, which I really enjoyed a few months back when we reviewed that one as well. Driveclub, I got it quite cheap, probably about 15 or 20 pounds. You can pick that one up, I really recommend it. It's like arcade meets Sims. The nearest game I can say to it is Gran Turismo. So many things to do, so many cars to unlock. You're going to have great fun with that, especially online. I still haven't bought the PS online function yet, which costs about £40 a year, so maybe I have to get to do that. Because people have been asking me to join a form of Driveclub or all that stuff, and I thought that might be quite interesting, and also playing Rocket League as well, so I might have to sort that out. Anyway, the top 3. In 3rd place, on the ZX Spectrum. Previously I had this lower, but I upgraded it because people put things about it and I thought, yeah, this game is kind of clever. 3rd place on the ZX Spectrum is 48K, is Cobra by Ocean in 1986, based on the film of the same name, which I've never seen, which is like a B-movie starring Sylvester Stallone. It's over a few stages. You must keep rescuing Ingrid, then kill everyone on screen. It's extremely difficult to play this game, so I played it with a poke on, so I'm going to show you a few of the stages, which I sometimes do, otherwise it'd be a very short review. When I reviewed it, I missed a lot of subtle plays on some of Sylvester Stallone's films he's been in. There's boxing gloves there, prams that relate to different films he's been in. Quite curious, you have to collect hamburgers, 4 hamburgers per stage to actually release weapons. There's a lot moving on screen at the same time, which is absolute genius. Collision detection is good and the levels are well thought out. So I'll put that in third place. Cobra, upgraded due to the comments that people gave me. And in second place, I'm always a sucker for racing games, so a lot of people might not have had this one here. It's Badlands on the Commodore Amiga, published by Domark in 1990. It's an arcade conversion. It's the sequel to Super Sprint and Champion Sprint, and I think it's better than those two, and it rounds off a good series. Badlands has got more colour in it, a number of tracks, not a huge amount, as many as Nitro, which I prefer Nitro to this one, and I also prefer Iron Stewart's off-road racing to this as well, but this is pretty good. One complaint, however, although I have got it in second place, is sometimes in the later levels your opponents go miles too quick for you actually to catch up, but that's when your upgrades like missiles and so forth are good to get to actually have some sort of chance of winning it. Badlands. So we're racing through. I try and make these a little bit more snappier. And in first place, yes, much like I had its predecessor, well, not its predecessor, the second one was awful. This one, the first one, I say, we had, I'm making a meal of this. Anyway, let's move on. In first place, on ZX Spectrum 48K is Dan Dare 3, The Escape by Virgin in 1990. Heaps better than Dan Dare 2, Mekon's Revenge, and probably ever so slightly better than Dan Dare Pilot of the Future, which I really enjoyed, and as I was trying to say before, had in first place on a previous 2-week roundup. The graphics of this are absolutely gorgeous, and when they, for a ZX Spectrum, don't compare it with Driveclub, when they was writing this originally, it wasn't supposed to be a Dan Dare game, and then later on in development it did become so. Some curious stages where you're travelling through space, where you have to go through some sort of time portal made up of squares, or you actually will die. Defeat the Mekong, collect fuel on your ship, and then you can actually escape. Doesn't sound that like there's much to it, like a lot of Spectrum games, but you know, I've had it in first place this time. Okay, so thanks for watching the videos as always. I always tinker with the channel. It is a slow process of me improving, but since the start 3.5 or maybe even 4 years ago getting on for, it's improved heaps and hoops, and it will continue to do so. Practice makes perfect, as they say. So thanks for watching as always. Videos will be going up every day at the moment. Until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye. Goodbye.